Welcome back to another episode of Spit or Swallow, Season 2, Season 2. Today is a special day, as usual. And in the studio with me, I have two special men.
Gang in this.
I will allow you to introduce yourselves because, I don't know what you guys be going by on the streets these days.
We're not on the streets, but on
On what streets?
your TV screen. Michael scenario on deck, aka Mr. Sunday Lashe. Does your boyfriend know you're there? One half of Menisms representing.
Yeah, and I'm Olumurewa and other half of Menisms. And yeah,
We're representing. We're out here in the spit or
Yeah, Spit or Swallow
wow.
worlds.
What I love the name.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you guys here. I don't think this is the first time we're having two men.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I have like two women, I have men and women or mixed people, but this first time I'm having like two guys. So
okay.
yes, on that masculine perspective
Mm.
to give some
Hopefully.
balance because I mean, well, yeah, but I want a balanced perspective because I've noticed, I've watched, some of your episodes, and you're
Thank
always
you.
forming soft boy, lover boy,
I am.
and, Muriwa is always forming, I'm objective, I'm do some that. So
Objective,
I want,
yes, I agree.
One
Yeah,
is the
for
word
sure.
you know,
of someone.
and and so yeah, so it's good to have like a balanced perspective because obviously I also have my ideas on the topic.
Mhm.
Speaking of the topic, we're talking about Madonna-Whore complex. But before we get into that, spit or swallow?
As in the name of the show.
Yes, spit or swallow. What's your answer?
Mui?
I
I
would
asked
say
you, lover boy. I'm talking to you.
No, you
No,
see,
but
even
no,
that.
no.
What do you mean forming lover? I'm a very emotional,
passionate. He's a
Mhm.
passionate.
passionate.
He's a passionate nigga.
Exactly. But if
Yeah,
you're a
fool for-
passionate
yeah,
boy,
fool
then
for
you
that
can
bitch,
spit with passion. But continue, so spit or swallow.
Um, wow.
I
Yeah,
feel
we,
like he
we
wants
go
to say
deep on this
none.
I
podcast.
was about
So
to say, yeah, y'all
feel like
really go
he
deep.
wants
yeah, right.
Swallow, I guess.
Swallow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Interesting. I would actually say spits.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. There.
It has its thrills.
Sorry,
Though.
can
Yeah,
I
we'll
just
go
ask a
into
question?
that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to say, what do you mean by spit or swallow? Just to
Whatever
understand.
it means to you, it can mean from your perspective.
even
It
say
can
what
mean
it
what you
means.
like. Yeah.
We wanna
So
hear what
we're
it
gonna
means
have
to
a
you.
little segment where
Okay.
you can go into spit or swallow as a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, back to the topic of the day. We're gonna be talking about two major things: the Madonna Hall complex, which, in simple terms, is basically when men particularly have partners and they reserve the respectful kind of sex for their partners, so they see their partners as like someone who the love and the adoration and the sexual attraction is there, but the animalistic side of their sexuality they reserve it for other partners, women outside, some with sex workers, some with casual relationship type thing. And I find that um it also seeps into monogamy and marriage where you have a lot of men who they don't express themselves fully sexually with their wives, and a lot of times they assume that their wives are conservative. So you also have women who are suffering because they can't show how freaky they are. Purity culture, patriarchy, where did you learn that one type thing? If your wife is like, I want you to put your foot in my ass, and it's like, that kind of stuff. So it's both angles of men having that mental separation, like where do you think it comes from, why do you think that exists, and then the other end of women being getting the short end of the stick because if they're in monogamous marriages or even relationships, you have them not being able to fully express themselves sexually, and then also the other end of the disrespect that men give women outside, especially when it's not always consensual, because it's like, oh, you wouldn't ask. For instance, we're making jokes before about how some people can try to segue into anal without asking, and then he just assumes, yeah, because this is a casual thing, I can be as animalistic as I want. So what are your takes on that? What's your experience? Where do you think it comes from?
Well, first off, damn, y'all get deep on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
welcome
I
welcome
have
to Spit
never
or
heard a
Swallow.
broken down just synopsis of just everything that was just there. That's why my face was just like, wow, like I ain't never really heard it but like that. But the funny thing is there is truth. There's a lot of truth in what you said. Like subconsciously, obviously, we're not gonna talk about it as men, like to each other. It's not like something you'll say to your guy now, like, bro,
Mhm.
when you're with this girl, like you going at her like this or something. But subconsciously you do. And I would say it's more of a case whereby if I was to answer that question, maybe it's a case that the girl you're trying to wife or is your wifey, as you say, there's a case of you don't want to, how do I put it? Sometimes there's a perception you want to give her
Mhm.
per se. Like there's a way you, like you said, there's a way you see her, like this is your angel, your babe, and all that. So you don't
Mhm.
want to go too far on stuff unless she says so or something, or it's like
Mhm.
you want to keep her precious in this way. Well, like I said, with everybody else, you say no rules and all that. So you get what
Mhm.
I'm saying, which makes no sense because
Mhm.
the person you're with, you're supposed to really be like your full self,
Mhm.
like
And
casual.
personal question: would you have any reservations about jizzing on your girlfriend's face?
Hmm?
Like coming on your babe's face. The passion used to come on your babe's face and then a
Hmm.
random babe you met on holiday. Like, would you have how would you feel in either situation?
Well, I ain't me personally. I ain't doing it unless you ask me to. Like I ain't with that. Like why am I just gonna me personally? I don't find like why am I just any girl I'm with unless you say it. That's not in my mind.
Okay.
What about you?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to have a very different perspective on
Mhm.
the whole thing. So I think one of the reasons, again, I can't speak for myself because I'm not the kind of guy who like differentiates between,
Mhm.
my wife must be this way and then I use only other girls for freaks and all that.
Mhm.
But I've gotten to understand that the guys who think that we are usually guys who are misogynistic to some extent, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I don't want to say that they just see women as less because most times it's not exactly that. Sometimes it comes to why they're getting married or why they're partnering with that person. See, a lot
Mhm.
of people partner because it's a responsibility. It's the next stage in life.
Mhm.
Okay, I've now done NYC, I've finished school, I have a good job. Next stage is marriage.
Mhm.
And usually the guys who do stuff like that are the guys who are looking for a wife, meaning anyone that's available to be wife material.
Mhm.
Now, wife material comes with certain characteristics.
Yeah.
One of them is you must be an angel. That's why you hear guys say, what's your body count? It's a very weird
Mhm.
question,
Mhm.
but it's a question that kind of interviews you to know if you're that wife material, right?
Mhm.
And putting you in that box as to, oh, I've only been with one person in my entire life means that there are only certain experiences you may have had. And
Mm.
so when they get married to someone like that, they expect that this is the cap and they're only marrying that person because, oh, my father has met her too. I've shown to
Mhm.
my father that she's a good girl. I've shown to my mother she's a good girl.
Mhm.
It can't be heard outside that she's doing this or that.
Mm.
So when you're now married to this person and you're in your home, sex is usually a responsibility as
Mm.
opposed to an experience.
True.
Mm.
So when they are carrying out whatever activity they're carrying out, you're having sex, it's just for procreation.
Mm.
It's for be the mother of my children,
Mhm.
as opposed to be my actual sexual, exploration
Partner.
partner.
Mhm.
But when they have the secretaries or the side chicks or whatever, they tend to do more particularly because now it's two things. One, there's no responsible attachment to them. There's no your name can be tracked back to me, right? So whether or not you're doing shameful things outside, it
Mhm.
has nothing to do with me and my legacy.
Mhm.
Now, that's one side, and then there's the other side where they see women as tools to expunge orgasms.
Mm.
So if I'm so as opposed to someone to as opposed to learning the woman's body, it
Mhm.
is more doing what I can. Okay, so I have this fantasy. This is the person I'm going to experience that with.
Mhm.
I've always thought about doing this. Now, whether or not she's consented to it,
Enjoy
she's
it.
already given
Yeah.
me a facade that she's a freak. I imagine she's
Mm.
open to everything.
Mhm.
So you would even hear them say things like, "You can't be a freak and be picky. You can't tell me
Mm.
that you're freaky, but you don't want to do anal." Again, it's
Yeah.
a mindset,
Mhm.
that just carries them along, in that entire process.
I mean, generally, I still believe that men, I wouldn't even say that they fight the concept of consent, but they don't want to accept it because in accepting it wholly, you're accepting that you've assaulted, raped, molested a lot of people.
Over your
And
timeline.
then there's a lot of selfishness that they have to release, like a sex worker having that autonomy to say, these are my lines, these are my limits. Because it's like you said, it's like, okay, I'm paying for this. So all my morbid, I wouldn't even say disgusting fantasies because it's a very, I mean, this is a very sex positive space. So you can have those fantasies, but safety and consent should always be, a thing. Even if it is a rape fantasy, it is still a consented
There are
fantasy.
rape
People
fantasies.
do have rape fantasies, even women, but there always has to be. In fact, there's also something called consensual non-consent. So
What?
consensual
Like
non-consent.
I know that I don't want to know, sort of,
Exactly. So it's like I
What do you
give
mean?
you the approval to have sex with me when you want
without my consent.
without my consent, but you have my consent. Do you understand? So it's like a blanket agreement. I can say over the next 3 months. So you can come up in the house and just drag my pants, and I'm like, yeah, because that's what I'm into.
I definitely need to
I
watch
just
your old episodes at this point because wow.
yeah.
Mhm.
So that's why I was saying that a lot of men don't want to accept what consent is, because if you realize that even if this person is a sex worker, you still have to respect them and all of that. Then you can't just come up and just turn her anyhow. You're not. And the thing you said about men having sex for procreation and all of those things, right? Is also facts, and this is why I'm always telling women that your pleasure should be your priority. I always say a lot of men, they learn about sex from porn, then women learn about sex from men. Nobody's really centering your own pleasure as a woman, and it's like you said, they just want to dish out all the orgasms that they can get. Nobody cares if you're in pain. Nobody cares. Nobody's reading your body language, and I feel like no matter what kind of sex you're having, there should always be like that duty of care to know that the partner is also having a good
So with
experience.
what
But
you said earlier, so sorry for me at least for those watching, I never really talk about my sex life out there. Like that's why I said like with topics he himself knows. Like every time because I'm just like bro, like this. That's why I said a lot of these things are new. But it was to just come back to your point about what we were talking about earlier. It was like how I said earlier in my early 20s.
mhm,
Like I said, I used to separate the two.
mhm.
You get what I'm saying? But the one thing that was always a common factor was, like I said, the consent thing. Because
Mhm.
one thing you were just saying about the way we learn sex, it was weird for me. I learned sex like both ways, and I'm lucky in that category. Like some of us guys are lucky whereby we learn sex always from like porn, our male friend, older friends, actually not your friends. Then
Mhm.
you and your friends talk. Then you will start to do your own research when you go through your own journey. So
Mhm.
obviously, I had that mentality of a man like do this, do this, do this. But
Mhm.
what started changing for me that I realized was helping was the girls I kept, at least the girls I was with, in terms of the
Feedback.
communication. The
Mhm.
communication.
Mhm.
So at first, obviously, it's feedback you ask for every time with the male ego, like, okay, how
Mhm.
was it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But when you start having them, um, this guy likes to say, conversations. Is an inside joke. When you start having those conversations now, you
Mhm.
realize like how much you're really missing out on.
Mhm.
And to fast forward it is like I said, by the time I started having conversations with anybody I was having a sexual relationship with, that's when I realized like that switch went off saying, yo, you can be a freak with any girl,
Mhm.
at least any girl you are comfortable having sex with, you know,
Mhm.
because some guys they don't care. But I know for me personally, it's like I've come to a point now, like, look, if we're having sex, even if it's not relationship, even if it is relationship, like we both have to be able to be fully freaks because, like, even now thinking about it now is like, why would I want to be married to somebody that can be the full freak with me and I can be my full freak with you in terms of
Yeah.
that mentality of, oh, just procreate. That's
Mhm.
basically giving me the option to cheat.
Mhm.
And I feel like coming back to our point, I feel like that's why a lot of men, especially in our society, the
Mhm.
way we've been brought up, like the wife has to be this trophy,
Mhm.
holier than thou. I feel like that's why a lot of guys just go out and cheat
Mhm.
because they're not able to actually be themselves
Yeah,
with
with
their
their
partner.
partners. Mhm.
So I think there's something I want to talk about. I think it tracks back a little more to lack of sexual liberation.
Mhm.
So we're in the part of the world where even talking about sex is sort of an abomination, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And because it is, the fact that you would even be openly freaky with your wife almost seems like you're defiling her because sex on its own
Mm-hmm.
has been tagged as nothing. In fact,
Something dirty,
Yeah.
or
so
something that
they
reduces
don't
value,
even
or all of that
openly
stuff.
still educate you on the fact that procreation is from actual sex, right?
Mhm.
You almost have to get there and figure it out yourself, right? I mean, a lot of our parents didn't tell us then that, oh, it's until you got older, maybe even made a mistake, almost got pregnant, and then they now start telling you about how to be careful with sex and how to make sure to control yourself, be safe and whatnot. Just that context alone, it takes a lot of unlearning, right?
Mhm.
Because you're raised thinking you can't even bring it up,
Mhm.
even if the curiosity peaks when you're a teenager and you're exposed to other, surroundings that will kind of, just grow that curiosity to want to know more about this thing you've never really heard of or you've heard of and just never from your immediate, surroundings.
Circle. Mhm.
Because you can't go back to them to ask questions, it puts you in this place where
Just figure out a lot of shit on
exactly.
your
Yeah.
And
own.
in some cases, some people just close off and say, you know what's an abomination, I don't want to hear about it.
Mhm.
Anyway, they're talking about it, I'm going to close my ears. From that, because in the end, if you're someone who plans to get married or have a family and whatnot, you will still have to cross that bridge. And in crossing that bridge, a lot of people have just given up on the idea, and this is even me coming from the women's side now. Some of the women have even given up on the idea that they should even have to explore with their husbands. They also see themselves as, I just need to get married and have children for him. So I would
Do
say
you
in some
find
cases,
that happens so much these days still?
of course, that's what I
Because
said
I
on
feel
learning.
like there's a
Oh yeah,
lot
no, of
of,
course, of
we're a
course.
very sexually charged society across, like, social class and stuff. Because obviously sometimes when I think about these conversations, I think of my immediate circle, but then it can be like an echo chamber, because there are lots of like sexually liberated people around me.
Mhm.
But I think Nigerians in general do be fucking regardless of,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's
we're
more about
the
where
biggest
whether it's talked
hypocrites.
about, whether it's outside or
We're
not.
the biggest hypocrites because we'll be saying, "Oh,
Oh yeah,
sex
of
this,
course.
all the rules," but
Yeah,
we're
so
all
I
doing it.
think that, I think it's 50-50. I don't think it's as I don't think it's as clear cut, or as, I don't think people are as clueless in terms of saying, oh yeah, because it's an abomination, I'm not going to explore, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. The thing is, I think because sex is generally pleasurable experience, you hear about it, you see about people watch porn and stuff. So even if with your partner, you find that, okay, this is not, you marry for, I want to get married, I want to have kids and stuff. If the sex is trash, you will know. And that's why a lot of people are always cheating. You hear that the
Yes.
women are going outside. So people will still explore. It's just not in a healthy manner, and it's just not with their partners. So there are studies that show that most couples, or more single and non-cohabiting couples, communicate sexually than the ones that live together. So basically, if you're seeing somebody, you guys are single, you're more likely to have, sexual communication. And sexual communication is a big issue worldwide for
Hmm.
many reasons. It's not just even a, oh, taboo in the Nigerian context. Even Americans and stuff, you have stuff like this, something you said, where somebody doesn't want to bring something up because you don't want her to feel offended. So sometimes some people don't want to be rejected. Maybe I like electric shocks on my nipple, and I'm just like, you, can you? And then I don't want to deal with the rejection of you saying no.
Or even
I
the
don't want,
judgment.
yeah, I don't want the judgment of you thinking that, oh yeah, even stuff like men and nipples. There's
That's
so
true
many
too.
men that
There's
will
a lot
not.
of stigma on that. Yes, there
Yes,
is.
and it's so weird. I keep telling people no body part is attached to any sexuality. Like, if your man says, "Look, I like my ass eaten," if you're down to do that, please get in there and eat
That's
everything that's in there.
you see, I
I mean,
mean,
I hope for a fact we're
the
not going to
funny
go
thing
deep in
is,
that.
she's like, because there's so many examples she brought up that I've been laughing like, hey, yo, like this.
I
I
mean,
know.
but it's
Yeah, so
important to
We
yeah,
had
so
to
because
cause
learn. We
no,
had to
yeah,
still
because
learn.
yeah, cause these are like regular stuff. I think I mean I don't want to believe that um freaky when it comes to sex is giving head or doggy. I mean, there was a time when there was still the taboo of that,
Gara.
you
which is
know,
why I
as
said it's a lot of unlearning. We have
yeah,
done so
especially
much
with
unlearning. Yes.
men and giving women head. We're gonna have a little head discussion in a bit.
But then, question though, because
Mm-hmm.
here's what I also haven't. It's not even an issue. Wrong terminology. It's, I guess, sometimes what I've noticed is that when it comes to topics like this now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's a big spectrum because
Mm-hmm.
we're all human beings. Everybody's going to have their own fantasy.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I feel like, who are we to set the limits on what your level of freak is? You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes people are like, no, level of freakiness is here,
Mm-hmm.
but we're all different. Because,
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're going to use like an example of like something extreme. Because you know how you said you won't call giving head freaky, you won't
Yeah.
call,
So
but
I
then I'm
wouldn't
like, to
call.
some people now,
That's
like,
I get that. I get that, but I think that
it's like some things you say.
when if
There's
you
a
want to,
general threshold.
I wouldn't even
Is
say
there a general? That's what I'm saying. What is the
I wouldn't
general
even
threshold?
say
Because it's
there's
all
a
different.
general threshold, but I would believe that certain things are very basic. I want to believe that if you're having sex, oral sex should always be, not obviously you don't have to always have oral sex, but if there's a discussion and someone's like, oh yeah, they gave each other head, it's not, I wouldn't turn, because that's just a ticket. If you said, you put somebody on the St. Andrew's cross and he brought out like fucking whips and here, I'm like, okay, what's going on there? I'm more interested in that. So I feel like a lot of things people say are freaks, like,
Oh, okay,
they're
like the
not,
level,
it's
the
not
thing that's
freaky, it's
okay.
not
I
freak,
get what
this
you
is
mean now.
like a standard stuff. Do you
Hmm.
understand? So I wouldn't expect that that should be a conversation that will cause awkwardness, but it does in some
Hmm.
cases. I'm just saying that people get people are afraid to say, "Oh, I want this or I want that," because they think that their partner is going to judge them. Oh, where did you learn that one? Why do you want to do this and stuff? So that's just what I meant. So I said if I was giving examples of my examples are always I'm always making jokes about butt stuff
That's fair.
or more extreme.
I mean, give them still. Don't hold
Yeah.
back.
Of
That's
course,
the
no, I never
No,
hold
she
back
doesn't
on
hold
this
back. No, that's
podcast. Yeah, but I understand what you mean in terms of like, we can't set the standard. I can't say this is the standard of what is freaky because even me talking about this for some people is basic. Some people they only fuck if they cannot breathe,
It's
if
like
they're in a hole in the ground. Do you get? Some
it's
people,
like you said
it's
one example now is just like, yeah, if he likes his ass getting eaten and all that, and I can't lie to you, the amount of my guys, not guys I know, let me not put anybody on blast, but guys I've
but
heard.
why is it?
Guys
That's what
I
I'm
know.
No,
saying.
let me
That's what I'm
rephrase.
saying.
Let me rephrase.
Guys I
They're
know.
not even
Because
on
no,
blast
it's to
because
respect. It's to respect
I
everybody's
have
privacy.
guys I know. I
There
mean,
are
I
people
shame
I
them
okay,
once in a
fine. There are
while
people I know
out
like they
of
like it. You
joke.
get what I'm saying? Like I remember me and my guys were talking. Like, you don't do this. I'm like, hell no. Like for me personally,
why?
hell no.
Why?
Me personally, nah.
Why?
Because for me, nah, that's a no go
I
area.
have my
I'm
reason.
sorry.
I don't. I
So
don't.
here's like
But I
it's
have
not
my
like
reason.
specific. Like me personally, you don't need. It's not even by force. You don't need to. Me, I'm a big kisser. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like I'm not even me. I know what is like. It's not like that. I'm clean. I shower like 3 times a day. But even that is like still like for me. You don't need to like. In fact, worst case, last, I'll do it to you. You get what I'm saying? You don't need to do
Say
it to
worst
me.
case. So you don't be eating ass.
Nah. I in this past maybe one time long term relationship 4 years let's
Then
experiment.
4 years. It took you 4 years to eat. Just a speck
I
of
didn't
ass.
say it took me 4 years. I just said I was in a 4 year relationship.
Okay, okay,
Uh-huh.
okay.
So I don't receive. And my
Mhm.
reason is because again, we're just coming out of no, I mean, and this is real. Like a lot of us in Nigeria are just coming out of the bubble that's
You
it's
know
an
what?
abomination, right?
Fair.
Hell no.
So we're still exploring several things. I do I get off I get offers to just try it, just try it.
Yeah.
But you see, the problem
Never
is it's not
endings.
really the act. It's a new sensation on its own. Like it's an entirely new sensation that you're not. It's like
But
it's almost like coming from your toes being
have
sucked.
you experienced it before?
I have experienced an attempt.
And you just couldn't go through
I
it.
couldn't go past
I
3 seconds.
almost kicked the girl by accident
Yeah,
because of
I
that
couldn't
thing.
go past 3 seconds,
So would you say it is because
and it wasn't consensual. Well, okay, no. Let me
so
not
what she
say.
was a young goose and she went
So
higher or what?
it was that blanket, consented, not consented. So
Mm.
she could, but it would have also been nice to say when,
So you
especially
weren't
because it's a
ready.
new
I
feeling,
get what you're saying. Yeah.
right? So I wasn't offended that she tried,
You're just
but it would have
shocked.
just been nice as a
Mm.
heads up. So
Mm.
I guess that also maybe even threw in a bit of truth, threw in a bit of trauma because now,
Trauma?
well, it's trauma being that
If
it's a new
somebody
feeling.
is in that area, you start clenching your.
There we go. That's that. So you
Yeah.
see, because most times I guess it's also awkward to say, "Oh, I'm about to." So are you ready? I get
Yeah,
that.
I'm about,
So you kind of want
I
to in
can't
the
imagine.
moment just
Open up.
exactly. Yeah, so but I guess it's. I mean, everybody say I've never really heard that it's. I've never heard negative feedback, which is. Not surprising.
Yeah.
Everyone I know that has
It
experienced
starts
it
with
always
nerve
says,
endings, bro.
"Oh, when you go down that way, you can never go back." Blah blah. But I mean, I imagine that maybe at some point,
Is it because you think it's gay? Do you think
No,
that there's that?
No,
So
no,
it's none of that.
none
no,
of that, none of that,
no.
none of that,
Yeah.
none of that.
And
none
it's
of that.
not about what position you would be in. Like, oh, you don't want to
No,
bend over,
no.
or you don't want
so
to
there is a
open your
bit of
legs.
that.
Okay, well,
There's a bit of
like
that.
10%. No,
Yeah,
okay.
there's
So
a little bit of
what I
that.
mean by that is, like, it's not like look when you're in the bedroom now, it's 1-on-1. It's our business.
So she
That's
just carries your leg like
but
this.
no, you see, now wait,
Lifts your
That's what I said. So
now wait. That's the
it's
10%.
emasculating. It's of some extent.
See me, I don't even. I won't even
I would
say.
agree. I mean,
I won't even say emasculating. My own is just. I don't even like stretching my leg that far. Like
I can stretch my
why-
legs. I have no
But
issues.
why? No,
Why you see your
It's
your root
emasculating.
chakra should always be loose, bro.
and it's loose when I
Open
need it to be. Don't
So
worry.
so you
but
see,
Yeah,
you see the
bro.
thing. The thing is because it's not your regular formation kind of sex.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's doing everything the woman's meant to do. I'm saying meant to do now based on
Mhm.
what is typical, right?
Mhm.
And all the positions you could possibly think where you could get your ass eaten as a guy. You're
At
either bent
positions
over,
that you've put a babe.
you're either bent over doggy or you're,
You're sitting
back
on her
down.
face.
Exactly. Or sitting on her face. But let's go with back down, legs up.
Legs up.
Let's still do the
Mhm.
let's still do it. Let's still do the, normal ones for now
Mhm.
till we go into it. So I think mentally, the fact that you're being put in that position, it takes a lot of having to drop your guard and you have to be very vulnerable, right? You have to
Yeah.
be very vulnerable in that position, like to just accept. And I feel like for me, it has to be with someone that I know is a partner. I don't think I can do it with someone who I'm just having casual
Random
sex
sex
with,
with.
particularly because I feel like it's information that if it goes a different direction, I kind of want it
Yeah.
to be confidential, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
But with someone that I'm casual with, they have no, there's no confines as to
What
keeping
they
that
can
information
do.
to themselves.
Yeah.
In fact,
There's no
for
duty
anything, it's
of
hot
care.
gist for the next girl because like you
Mm.
wouldn't even believe what
So
this
that
guy
like
did when
saying
that happened. You
so
know?
you subconsciously
So
thinking
you feel
about
like
that.
there's
Yeah,
this
yeah, I am
stigma
subconsciously thinking about it.
attached to
I'm not thinking
being
about it
a
during the
guy
act.
whose gist is that he likes his ass being eaten,
No,
basically.
no, no,
No,
no. It's more like I said, if it goes a different
the
direction,
wrong like if it goes
where
bad.
Like what?
maybe
Like if you poop on her face or what?
or something like that. You get it? So like,
Or fart in her
especially
face.
because at that point I'm trying to open myself up into new sensation, and I
Fair.
have no idea what to
Fair.
expect. Sometimes when you're experiencing new stuff,
Mhm.
you have to do some part. Like there's some part of you that has to play
Oh my
a role.
Yeah.
So, for example, as a girl, if you're being eaten out, especially for squirters, like if
Mhm.
squirters have never really experienced squirting and it feels
Mhm.
like pee,
Mhm.
they have to play a part in pushing out
Mhm.
before it actually.
Mhm.
If they're holding it in, you never really get that full sensation.
Yeah.
Same thing as that's how I see, being eaten
So
out
I
as a
think it's
guy.
just you.
Now imagine me pushing
It's
out and I
just
push out the
you.
wrong thing, and yeah.
But no, but you're not pushing out
No, not
anything.
pushing, but like opening up. So
No, but even
it clenches, it opens up, clenches, opens up. You have to know,
Oh my God.
there's
I'm
a
trying so
line. I
hard
feel
to
like
do
there's
I
a
know.
that on
line.
camera. I
To be
can't.
honest,
This
I
is
think that you
And I
just.
also feel like there's
I feel
like a
like you.
don't eat before we get there.
No,
guy. Wait, no, the guy.
no. So first of
guy,
all,
have you done research on this thing?
first of
No,
all,
I mean I like sex a lot, so I
so first,
definitely
I
think about
think
these
that
things.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
think
enough.
that these
Respect that.
concerns are more.
Self-conscious than anything.
Yeah, no, it's you being self-conscious, yes, but I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
I feel like a lot of it is more for anal sex. Because if you're gonna have anal sex,
Well,
you should be
yeah.
more. You should be ready for like dookie, like
Yeah,
skid marks
yeah,
and
it kind
stuff.
of
I don't even
Yeah.
do it, so.
I mean,
What
I
do you do,
don't either
Uncle
actually,
T?
but yeah.
You don't.
So
Uh,
I have, but I don't accept it's the person's request.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Why
don't.
you
But
don't like it?
it's not. So I feel like usually the people who are going for it again, this is not applying to all because
You're about to say they're whores, Abby.
no. I was about to say the people who go for anal are the ones who are looking for a tighter hole. And I'm just
Mm.
thinking, I mean, it's already tight enough the vagina, and if the vagina's not tight enough, then maybe it's you. But then that doesn't apply because you do have people with big dicks
Mm-hmm.
who still do anal. So,
Yeah, some
but
people
in
just
my
like
opinion,
it.
I feel like
Sometimes it's just the
if I want anal,
conquest of the ass.
The
Not
thing is,
really,
I
no.
can. But the
Yeah.
thing is, I can conquer that from the back. I understand. Yes, there's always going to be a difference. But if I need to conquer it, I'll conquer it from the back, the normal way through the vagina. I can handle it that way. But like I said,
Anal is also normal.
that's why I said I didn't say it's not
You
normal.
said the
By the
normal
way,
way.
no. So
It's
The
giving.
procre- the
It's giving. It's
procreative
giving
way.
conservative.
touche.
The
You know what's
procreative
funny?
way.
It's giving.
A
I only
lecturer
like
of mine in my
missionary.
master's class actually told me, he said you can't say what is normal because there's no
Yeah.
definition of normal. So you're
Yeah.
right. So what I was taught before, or not even what I was taught before, what I just like basically is like I said, if we having sex, I can go through any position, especially like from the back through that. With anal now, like I said, I personally, it won't be my
Go
own
to.
thing. Yeah, it's like I won't be the one to say it. Now, if I meet a girl that says she wants it, fine. Like so far, like anybody I've been with is not come up. Like obviously conversations have come up about it, but so far nah. And that's why I said for me, it's like it's not something I just think about doing because, like I said, can easily just do it from the back. And again, it's also I liked how you also asked that question about is it about like homosexuality and all that. For me personally, it's not. Now, when I was younger, there was that thought. There was a time I did think like I'll be honest, because you know how you guys were even talking about like growing up in Nigeria and the thought of sex and all that. Like my thought is it was 50-50. Well, more 70-30 because growing up in America now, the way sex was like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, everybody was doing it early.
And this, so I think this is one of the reasons I don't do anal so much or at all, really, because again, if it's the person's request, like she wants, so there's some women who orgasm more from anal than vaginal, right? And if that's what she wants, then of course, sure, because of course we need lube, all that stuff. But if it's not what she wants, so there are some guys who prefer not me. So I would never request. There are some guys who request.
Yeah.
I would never request except it's the person's, preference. And I think that also kind of translates to why I wouldn't do anal for myself because it has to be okay. So why I have sex also translates to why I'm not doing anal, because
Mm-hmm.
I find that a lot of guys who get anal are the ones who are really trying to receive an orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more of a pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more about the person's orgasm than mine. And so I have to really be very selfish,
Mm-hmm.
or have at least a selfish mindset in that time for me to
So I
want
find
anal
that
or want
I
something,
mean,
some anal play.
anytime anyone tells me I'm a pleaser, if
Hmm.
which is a very everyone has their own sexual behavior and stuff, and
And
some
even definitions
people,
of what a pleaser is. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people can only get off if the other person is getting off and stuff. I find that to be
Okay.
very stressful, and I also think that sometimes it is limiting in a way, because when you're just focused on like yes, like me now, my own profile is I'm a switch. So like how there's like submissive, dominance, and switch. So sometimes I want to be pleaser, sometimes do the pleasing type stuff. So I don't need you to, like, yes, it's arousing to see somebody, but I also want to receive stuff, and I also know what I like. And sometimes I feel like people use that to escape a lot of exploration with themselves, because I wouldn't necessarily say it's an easy cop out, but no, cause no,
Yeah,
yeah,
because I was
you
gonna
work
say,
hard now. Yeah, you have to learn each other's bodies. You
yeah,
have to be
you have to be selfless,
selfless
very selfless. Yeah.
in pleasing that person.
Hmm.
But there's also so much stuff that you can do within yourself. And then because you're just like, no, don't worry. And like, it's like, when you're like, I'm like, oh, what do you like? Don't worry about me. I'm like, no, bro. I too want to snatch your soul. What do you like?
I ain't gonna lie, I like that because with what you just said, like I used to be like obviously I feel like a lot of guys, well not a lot of guys, let me take that back. Most of us guys understand ourselves where you have that pleasing mindset in terms of
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I want to please you.
Yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
But
society pushes you to.
exactly. But then for
Exactly.
me, I started being selfish like a while back because, like I said, it's like, wait, I can't be doing. And again, I don't say this in the ego take. So I'm going to explain my thought process. It's like before when I was having sex, like when I started, it's more like, all right, I'm gonna do the work, do the work, do the
Mm-hmm.
work.
Mm-hmm.
And then even you doing all the work, you find out later you've not even made the girl orgasm and all
Mm-hmm.
that. You get what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's selfish stuff. So you start communicating about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, you realize, wait, me doing all the work, who's satisfying me? Because in the end, I'm still gonna catch my nut. But it's
Yeah.
like, did I really enjoy the sex that you did this? So it started.
Exactly.
That's why I said, like, for me, it started switching with the kind of girls like I'm messing with, whereby it's like, all right, I want to get to know you. So by the time we're comfortable with each other and all that,
So
it's
would
like,
you say you're a demisexual? Do you think that you have better sex when you're emotionally connected to the person? Or
Oh yeah, he definitely does.
nah,
If he's not going to say yes, I will say yes for
no,
him.
this
Passionate
guy,
to be
nigga.
honest, I feel like
no,
you be
nah,
yeah, you
nah. The thing
be
is, again, here's what I always tell people: because you know one side of somebody, you don't know the, especially
Yeah,
the
I mean
sexual
I'm fully
side.
around.
I
Yeah,
was, like, I don't know, of course, no.
yeah,
The reason I'm saying my guys will always say that's
yeah,
because my guys actually know me in terms
yeah.
of I am an emotional nigga. I won't lie.
mm-hmm.
So that part is that I can't lie. That's like 50%.
This is
Explore.
interesting because
Mm-hmm.
we're still also almost capping pleasure in a final outcome. Most of my pleasure is during the sex. Like most of my pleasure is now. It's not even about. I guess maybe ego was in my earlier days, like
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger and just trying to
Mm-hmm.
see that I'm good in bed, so to say. But ego is the least. I don't even think. In fact, if you're having sex based on ego, that's. I'm sorry to say, but you're not even having sex, right?
Yeah.
For me, I okay. So one of the things that gets me off is reactions,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm big on reactions. It
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be from me pounding, pounding. No, 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 it's not
Yeah.
that. I'm big on reactions. It could even be that, and also different people, different receptions.
Mm-hmm.
So some people would from slow strokes, they are screaming already and grabbing, and some other
Yeah.
people need you to go fast for them to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
For me, it's more the reaction during the process,
Yeah.
right? And that's what
Definitely.
gets
No,
me
so
off.
yeah, of course, like I said, it definitely makes sense. It's
Hmm.
how, we as women, we always say we want men to moan more because we want to hear all of this stuff. Like
Hmm.
all of these things enhance the
Yes,
experience.
yes.
So I'm not saying that, you don't have a good time at all. You can have a good time. I always say like orgasms are not the destiny. You can have sex for hours and not orgasm and still have a
And still have a good time,
fantastic.
yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just saying that when anyone tells me, oh boom, and it's mainly men that do that. Oh, I'm a pleaser. I just want to, yes, many people are pleasers, like you said. Just seeing that, even me too, I like when I pinch people and I see goosebumps or, all of those kind of things. It does enhance the experience. But I also feel like sometimes people also hide. And a lot of times people think that they know their sexual profile. Sometimes people think that, oh yeah, I just like hard sex. I just like hard sex. But you've never actually sat down to, you know, tell someone to bring out feathers, tell someone to bring out chains, to bring out ice, slow it down, like actually explore. People don't actually explore. So you might think you like something, but I feel like there are so many other things that you also like. So even with like your booty being eaten,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you can actually allow yourself to be vulnerable and relax and not overthink it, you might also discover that damn, the nerve endings there are actually, really, really,
Yeah, again, I
I,
think
yeah,
I
that
was
this vulnerability is still
I
again
was, I was
only
about
yeah.
to say
for
what you
someone
just
I'm like a partner. Like it has. I'm ready to be explorative with a partner, but this is not a girl that's going to get her Uber at 1 a.m. after we're
Yeah.
done. I'm sorry, but like
Yeah, so
it's
because
not
you're going
going
to
to
be
be
like,
for yes. Like
because
I'm not. It's not
but then
going to happen. Like
I have a question
yeah.
because I ain't gonna lie. That's why I said like the whole, I'm emotional. I'm very vulnerable with women that I
Mm-hmm.
have sex with.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good and bad, and that's why I said like I started being very selective because
Mm-hmm.
there are some girls I ain't gonna lie, and I see and I understand why a lot of guys hide it because it's not every girl you want to be vulnerable with. Vice versa, the same
Yeah.
in
way.
this Nigeria,
Yeah, and to be
And
honest,
it's not
is
forget Nigeria before we start that argument, but it's like, and the funny, if I'm being real,
mm-hmm.
like I said, I started noticing the differences, and you can relate to is like the way you have sex outside Nigeria and in Nigeria. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I started having sex in Nigeria with some girls, it was like being vulnerable was weird. I can't
Mm-hmm.
lie. Like, and that's naturally me.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed, and the thing is, by the time I started understanding, I didn't even blame the girls. I blamed the society,
Yeah,
the way
because a
they're
lot of
brought
this
up.
is very transactional.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it feels like sex is transactional. Okay,
Yeah.
what are you doing first thing here? What are you doing first? It's like, yo, like it does not even need to get to that point. And even at the point it does now, even like the communication, like in the
Mm-hmm.
bedroom and all that, is
Yeah.
like for me personally, I noticed there was a time is like I used to say this joke to some of my boys. It's like, bro, I'm tired of being the first for some girls. It's like, yo, what do you mean by that? It's just like I'm the first one. Like I said, the whole communication,
Mm-hmm.
emotions. It's like that's the first time they've experienced that, like just talking and it's not even about the sex was amazing. Like always,
Yeah, but so
but it's
that's
like
so that ties back into what we said in the beginning, where you said a lot of men just use women for their pleasure, and women are not always very vocal during sex. So a lot of times you find a lot of endurance, and that's why people even fake orgasms because you're just like, okay, this needs to end, and then boom, she's like, I'm done. There's not a lot of sexual communication. You don't have people. But then on the flip side, there are also the women that are like, oh yeah, why are you asking me before you do this? Why are you asking me before? But me, I'm always like, nah, I would rather you every step of the way be like, are you okay?
but you
Check
see
in.
why that plays
Read,
into like our
yeah,
mindset.
read
Like
body
it's already
language
confusing
and
for us
I
stuff.
was
because
Yeah.
just
you
about to
see
say
when
that.
you said that, like it's great. When she said that, it's like a flashback just came in my head. Like damn, like when you actually start meeting those girls, like why are you asking me? Why are you this? And then you're now trying to
Yeah,
put two and
Yeah,
two
so
together.
exactly.
that's
What
it.
do
So
women
that's why
like?
I
What don't
always
they like?
tell people like you can't carry the same sexual script to every partner you have. You always have to realize that everyone is like uncharted territory and they like certain things.
Mm.
But a lot of men, a lot of people just think, okay, I know that if you do the clit like this, or just go to the nipples, or people do sex in a sequential way,
Where it's
kissing,
like kiss, then
breast,
nipples,
suck
then
breast,
then
then
down, then
head,
down. So, but
bam, yeah.
another thing why that happens is because a lot of guys when they meet the girl, there's so many walls you're trying to break down first because every girl already comes like, you men don't even know anything in bed. Okay, just
God.
do what you want to do and let's just go. There's already that stereotype you're trying to break out of. And so that's why you said a lot of guys say they're pleasers because a lot of guys are trying to be pleasers. Like they feel like that's what every woman wants. And that's why they go studying the basics, like you just said. You kiss her first, then from kissing her, okay, play with her nipples a little bit. Then from there, maybe you kiss her body a little before you go down.
I feel like it's
You
more
have to give
if
her
it's
head.
more of like if she lasts, like you just even admitted it now, it's
Mhm.
subconscious, but it makes sense now. It's like unless she's wifey, like he was saying,
Mhm.
if y'all just starting off, seeing each other or it's casual, then you want to get the basic done first. If
Yes.
we happen to pass that stage that we're seeing each other more and all
Then you
that,
now
that's
want
when
to
you
be more open
graduate
and
to that
flexible.
level of, oh, okay, let me find out this. Because again, there's a lot of girls that, and when I say this, I also say women can say the same thing because we're just speaking from a male perspective. But it's like, yo, if it's just a short term thing or I know it's not going anywhere, I'm not going to invest even more time on your sexual preferences and vice versa. I'm not going to expect you to invest because we're already still getting to know each other. But for you to graduate to that level, I do get it now. Where it's
Yeah.
like you have to be wifey that you're that vulnerable, talking about okay, what deep things do you like?
The vulnerability for me is not even necessarily about the person seeing that side of me, but more what happens if, okay, she eats my ass out, and that's what makes me fall in love.
Mm.
Then what? I've now fallen in
But
love
the
with the
game is the
person.
game now.
see my point? So because I know the game is the game, I can't be the one losing the end in the same game I'm a part of.
But so you're gonna allow fear to deprive you of
Of
potential
heartbreak?
pleasure?
No, see, that's you're seeing
Yeah, but
potential pleasure. I'm seeing
you're
potential
seeing it as
heartbreak.
heartbreak. I'm seeing it as potential pleasure.
So I guess we're gonna
These
have
are
to
the
choose one.
issues.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay, so let's
yeah.
quickly say, because we're running out of
This
time.
guy said if I fall in
Into
love.
oral sex, from the Nigerian context, especially, I'm gonna have a whole oral sex. There's an oral sex episode,
Okay.
but this is from Nigerian context and men especially, because I've had many conversations where guys are like, Nigerian women can't give head, Nigerian women can't give head, and then obviously when it comes to sex, there's no one way to do anything, right? But a lot of times when people think that what people think is mad head, for some
Don't
it's
say
like
sloppy, please.
sloppy, it's like tears and kata is rolling down her eyes, she's choking, a goosey came out of her throat. Or almost. But first, I know someone who said he's like, you know, he's very disgusted by saliva. He doesn't like it to be sloppy and that. But what's your general experience when it comes to head and oral sex? For women, I feel like you guys don't give head as much as you expect head, as much as you receive head, as much as you carry your hands.
So we're
to
You
be
said
speaking-
it.
doing
You
we're
said
that.
it.
speaking
You said.
generally
You just
for
said it now.
guys, right?
You just said something about we. I don't know if you said it, but example. Well, it's not you. Let me not say you. But you see that general thing you keep saying, like, and that's another thing.
That's
in
another
Nigeria.
wall we're trying
That's
to
another
break.
thing in Nigeria I've noticed too. Is that, like, everybody always likes putting one gender on the other side. Like even me, that's why I started even doing.
So wait, do you think you want to say that men give women
Now,
head
we
as
can
much
only
as
speak for
women?
ourselves.
You can
No,
only speak for yourself.
No, but statistically, it's actually facts.
Okay, statistically based on what women
What?
say.
On wi-
Yes, on women's experiences, on what women say,
Fair
and there are
enough.
men that have also agreed. There are some men that you
Then
ask
I
them
wanna
and,
argue that.
and they'll be
they'll
like,
say,
never ever.
and they'll
They're
say,
not giving head.
no, yes. In fact, that one is a whole different conversation. Then there's the conversation of if she's not my babe, like on a one night stand, I'm not going to give head, or the first time I'm not going to go there, type thing. But if you meet a nigga in the club and you're like, yeah, listen, let me go and suck your dick in the back, that nigga is gonna be, how many will say
ready.
no? He's ready. But now, if you just met
God.
me and just met me at whatever club and I'm like, please let's go
I'm
see
about to say
bathroom,
you,
come and chow.
but if we're just being political,
Maybe not me.
If we're
'cause
being,
if it's me,
I was about
But
to
like,
say,
you
I was
say,
about to say, if we're
randomly.
being political, if we're being political here, I'm just saying, like, it's very easy for the guy to receive it. Just pants down, boom. You on the other hand, do you want me to be on my knees in the club
why
now?
can't you
Okay,
be
so
on
no,
your knees?
actually,
That's why I said,
I
let's
don't
go
agree
to
to
the
that
back.
one.
If
I
you
don't
want to be
agree
It's
to
giving
political,
that.
excuses
if you want
for
to be
why you don't.
political,
It's giving
No, no, no.
excuses
with
So-
the
for
guy,
why you
you
don't
can
want to
do it
give
anywhere.
head.
Just drop.
So I
boom,
won't
girl,
agree
like,
because-
I gotta pick you up, have
No, no,
you in a
no.
position here or something. Like,
I would
can't
disa-
just open leg like this. You don't want to kneel
I'll
down.
disagree
I should
because
not
I've
be
given
kneeling
head.
down.
Eh,
Like this now,
oh,
I know
so
that.
you
No,
cannot
I
kneel
didn't say
down.
I couldn't. I didn't say. I'm
No.
just asking. You don't mind?
But that's what I'm saying. Why?
I would disagree because
why
I've given
would I
it to
mind? You're
someone
just giving
standing before.
roadblocks, bro.
So
Yeah,
I've given it to someone standing before, so I don't really agree
it's
to that.
giving
But
excuses.
No.
but
I'm
I
saying in
think
the
I think
club,
that
but-
stems off of, right? Again, I think it's purely a hygiene thing, and I say that not because
No,
guys are
facts.
cleaner.
Facts.
It's not because guys are cleaner, but
'Cause you'll
girls
be
generally
wearing
like
I was about to say,
recycling
we're not
boxers,
making
but
that-
let's not
God
even.
forbid.
girls generally produce juice, even non-voluntarily, and I don't know your activities line. I don't even know if before coming
So
to
you
the
don't
club
like
or
marinated pussy. You don't like seasoned.
it depends on the
pussy.
marination. Marinating in this Lagos, you've been marinating in traffic
this
3
heat.
hours. No. Hello,
In
no,
this
no,
heat.
no, 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 no.
You don't like seasoned. You
No,
like
you
it
see,
very.
this is why I
No.
say I
not
get
that
to
kind of
know.
marinating.
Again, even getting to know verbally doesn't mean
Doesn't
it's
mean,
clean
yeah.
there.
I hear you guys
But
do the sniff test before me kissing the inner thighs just to sniff
No,
the
no,
perimeter.
subconsciously.
No,
Or you
But no,
finger, you don't say like this.
subconsciously. But story.
That's why you like the
No,
people that you
but
like.
there's one example I want to say. You know that time that
Yes,
model, the
yes,
USA, the model
yes,
one came.
yes.
Yo, I told you, we could have rushed it that first day. I was like, nah, we're gonna get to know each other these few days. What? That made it 10 times better. And I already knew from the jump it would be good, but it's like, let me get to actually.
But you know,
know
another thing could also be that, like, getting to know the person and the sex is good is that. So it doesn't mean that because you
Yes,
guys are
like,
compatible is why the sex was good. It means that the sex itself, without the compatibility or without the
Yes, like obviously the
comfortability,
thing is,
would still have been good.
when you
Fair.
have somebody who the sex is mad with, the more you get to know them,
The better it gets,
it
yeah.
gets better. You get as nasty as you want. You guys can spit all over each other and stuff. So yes, I'm not saying comfort is very important and it's a good thing. But if you're somebody who can have casual sex, I feel like for me, the starting point should be here. Then we can. That's why I said we can now take it to wherever. But I'm not taking someone that is here to. I don't have the time to train you. Sorry,
Fair enough.
baby. So yeah. Um,
We have learned a lot today, guys.
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Wow.
we have gone over time by far. So we're just gonna close out with tip of the week. I always end with like tip of the week. Relating to the topic. Well, I guess we kind of veered off this. So yeah, Michael, what's your tip of the week?
Hey
Sex
man,
tip.
communication. There's no shame in communicating with a girl in terms of getting to know her, knowing what she likes and all that. Make her comfortable with you so she can be freakier with you.
Um, I would say that, I mean, if you're going to have a partner, like know why you're having the person as a partner and make that person the experience you want to have in life. So don't have a partner and then experience things with other people that you should be experiencing with your partner. So yeah.
Yes, I agree with that as well. Thank you guys. Thank you for coming on
Thank you
here.
for
It was
having
great
us.
having you guys. Don't forget to plug your socials.
I was about to say, go follow Menisms on Mado. Go watch the episodes. Follow us. Scenario on deck.
At Olumurewa.
Shout out Sunday La Share family. And yeah.
Yes, and follow me, House of Chocolate, follow the podcast, Space or Swallow Pod. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts, and I will see you guys